all very senior environment and sustainability professionals. I would request the the organizers of this show to kindly help the other panelists join the show. Wonderful. So we have a full house today. Let me take this opportunity to introduce the panelists of the day. As I said, they are all very senior environment and sustainability professionals. So the first one to go is Dr. Yogendra Saxena, expert on corporate sustainability and former Group Chief Sustainability Officer, Tata Power. He comes with more than 4 decades of experience in the area of EHS and corporate sustainability. In fact, Dr. Saxena has led the sustainability agenda at leading India corporates such as Tata Power, Jubilant Life Services and Sciences, etc. So, and he has been instrumental in several key policy advocacy initiatives. And of course, he is a leading, he represents at businesses, governments, academia, civil society, and others. The second panelist that we have for today is Dr. Mritunjay Chaubey, who is the Global Vice President, Environment and Sustainability, UPL Limited. He is, a wastewater treatment expert of international repute, and he has more than 24 years of professional working experience in renowned MNCs such as Pentair, Shell, etc. In fact, he has made a unique position in the corporate world by embedding sustainability and good environmental practices. The next panelist that we have for today is Neelam Pandita, AVP Sustainability and Social Impact, Al Cicer Impact. She is an established voice in ESG, social impact, social entrepreneurship, and gender issues. And last but not the least, we have Ushi Fatma, Associate Editor from Green Ubuntu. So, before I delve into a systematic round of questions and answers, let me take this opportunity, let me clear the agenda as to how, the present discussion is going to flow. So I would also request the panelists to kindly be precise, because we have time constraints as well. We have 30 minutes to do our thing, our show, and I would request all of you to kindly, limit your responses to around 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. And so here we go. So first up, I would really like to bring into the discussion, and for that I would like to go to Neelam. So Neelam, what according to you are the major challenges that the environment confronts today, and your take on it?
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Mukbil. So glad to join the discussion with Dr. Yogendra, Dr. Mritunjay, and Ushi. So I would just start by saying that there are many challenges that we face when it comes to environment. But when you try to see where all the environmental issues lead to, I feel that is overpopulation, the irresponsibly growing human population. It has caused so many issues, be it extinction of wildlife species, increase in natural disasters, or health crisis like COVID-19. I think it is a difficult one to solve, but it really needs urgent action. Then I would say there is resource which is caused due to unsustainable production and consumption. As the industrial revolution, started, many industries produced all kinds of goods to, make our lives easier. But they did not take into account environment and the community health. So these products reached millions of homes, with the help of excessive marketing. And people can use to, packaged goods with plastics and sometimes things with heavy metals and, not paying attention to what it consists of. But now we know better, and we're still continuing to do the same, overproducing and consuming irresponsibly. So there is some awareness, but not enough knowledge. Then I would say waste production and improper disposal. We really need to rethink our consuming habits. and reduce the consumption before thinking of other 4 R's of waste management. And then I would say overfishing and deforestation. We are not taking strong actions to protect our two major sources of oxygen, oceans and forests. Industries, governments, and individuals, we all need to come together to conserve these ecosystem supports if we need to really survive. So I believe, and global warming, climate change, pollution, health issues, all of these result from these issues. And if we are able to solve these, or take strict actions towards minimizing the impact of all these issues, we'll be able to overcome as much as possible the
Right,
damage
right.
we have.
I think you have covered a lot of ground today. And
Yeah.
for the next, very good points about unsustainable practices, about, deforestation and all of that. So now I would like to bring into the picture Mr. Yogendra Saxena. How do you see are the major challenges? Would you like to elaborate on what Neelam has just spoken about, or do you see more challenges emerging today?
Today, if we decide to see the what are the major challenges, I will say there are about 10. And everyone has a role to play. For example, the climate change, the mitigation and adoption, the meteorological phenomena, the change of weather, which we can see everyday life, and protecting biodiversity. Here, the major role is the international organization and government of the developed and underdeveloped and developing countries. Second thing, which is much more important from industrial point of view, is the pollution and their effect on the health. This is coming both industrial pollution also as well as agriculture. For example, like the parali burning in India, which is a major issue. So here the politician also has to play a role, and industry must find out what we should do, how to use this agriculture residues. Third action where the corporates, where the government and corporates all are required is basically protection of the oceans, biodiversity in their area, sustainable food production, water scarcity. We must institutionalize our resources which we are getting from the groundwater, and certainly what Neelam mentioned about the overpopulation. Here, government cannot touch overpopulation because we have seen the failure of the previous governments. But industry must come forward under CSR, and certainly they can go to the community and suggest them that what they should do for the population control. And this is need of the hour for India. There's no doubt about it. Neelam is 100%. I'm right. Agree with you. Population control, because population is one which creates the pollution. Each and every action of the human being is ultimately creating a pollution somewhere out there.
Right, right. So yes, we see that you have again zeroed down on what Nilam was saying, but you added a very important point, about how all the various institutions of the state must come forward, and of course how industries have been, a major source of pollution. Your thoughts on this, Mritunjay? How industries have been, have single-handedly, moved this agenda towards pollution, unsustainable practices, and all of that.
So I think if you ask from industry sides, then today the major challenge in industry is that how to transform their business in 1.5 degrees Celsius world. So especially after the Paris Agreement on climate change, now it is a challenge for industry and business that how to balance between the development and the environment, and how to make the strategy where they can transform their business into 1.5 degrees Celsius world. And I think the other thing is, like right now, the COVID situation where coronavirus problem comes, we feel that the major challenge for this is the loss of biodiversity. Actually, when we destroy our biodiversity, then we destroy the system which supports the human being. And some of the reports are coming that when loss of biodiversity take place, then the viruses like coronavirus, they get opportunity to pass from animal to human being. And I think maybe one of the reasons today the entire world is facing the challenge of coronavirus because of loss of biodiversity. I am not 100% sure, but when we go through the literature and we able to see the view of experts, then this also may be one of the reason for this crisis worldwide.
Right,
And
right. Dr. Mritunjay, this is a very important point that you made right now. Something that we must, discuss threadbare. The likelihood of a connection between environmental degradation and the, outbreaks of pandemics and epidemics, which have really increased over the past few decades. And we also see that, uh, when even in my context setting, when I spoke about how temperatures have risen after 1880s, we see that that is the age when the industrial revolution really started taking shape. So this is a very good point, Dr. Mritunjay, and one that we are definitely going to come back to, and we would want to have other views as well from the prominent environmentalists here. Meanwhile, let me bring in Ushi Fatma into the discussions, because she is, an environmental activist and a prolific writer on environmental issues. So, as far as sustainability practices and a lot of things that are being talked about on this platform from the perspective of an activist, as an advocate for environmental conservation, what is your take on this issue, Ushi Fatma?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mukbil, for calling me to the show. The first thing that I see as an activist, and the first issue that I see is community spirit. So we need to foster a community spirit that creates a sense of belonging. Okay, this place belongs to not just me but to everyone. Now, when I talk about community spirit, it encompasses a lot of things. Garbage is thrown right in front of the gate of my house, then it's not just my problem. It should be a problem of the neighbors too, of the people who are passing and crossing that area. So when voices come out and when people come together, they join in a common cause. And now a common cause is, nothing more than corona that you are seeing, and the green issues and the green things that we're talking about. So it starts from a very, very local level. So, like for example, just moments back, I was discussing with some of my colleagues, and they were talking about how we used to, take those and carry on the books in our school days. We used to use those school, old school books, and our bhaiya and so-called bhaiya and didis, they used to lend those books, and very beautifully we will use it. And now the schools have started encompassing and using, and the very reason that they give is that we need to update our students. So that update thinking also happened with a small supplement of a book that can come with any subject, and the book remains the same. So we are able to reuse the same thing, and on such a big platform where I'm talking about something very important, very pertinent. I think our curriculum makers and our government, they need to see where are we going wrong, because we are talking
Right,
a lot.
Ushi. I think that is a very good point. That is a very good point that you made. That we need to be community oriented. That a community oriented approach is a must if we need to solve issues pertaining to the environment. Now, I would like to go back, because I really found a hook in whatever Mr. Mritunjay said, and I would want the views of the other two environmentalists who are amongst us, Dr. Yogendra and Neelam, shooting with Dr. Yogendra first. So, Dr. Yogendra, do you see a connection between environmental degradation and something like the coronavirus pandemic that is currently creating havoc on mankind?
Basically, I'm a biochemical engineer and a fermentation technologist, but I have no idea about the impact of this on the COVID, on the virus. But what I will say, if you see it from the sustainability angle, corporate must be very much active now, keeping the pandemic in mind. if you see sustainability reporting, when we say it's a triple bottom line, economics, environment, and social is mainly the area where HR is playing a vital role, like factory acts and all that. But this is the time I have noticed the HR role is very negative. Except giving a chair or giving something, they are not worried about how many hours you are working, whether there is a work-life balance. So what HR should do in all the corporate, they should make staff aware that in this type of pandemic, if suppose tomorrow we are going to have again, because there's a loss of biodiversity, as Dr. Mritunjay is saying, then we should be aware of these things. Second thing, behavior of the individual to communicate to the staff. For example, I am working for XYZ organization. I must write to HR, this is the problem I am facing. And they must look into that, which is lacking. Third thing, which is important.
Right. I got your point, Dr. Yogendra
Two
Kumar.
more things I'll tell you. Just two things. Ask for readiness. HR is not ready for tomorrow, and they must protect their all stakeholders. That is much more
right. So, Dr. Yogendra, my question was, is there a link between the pandemic and the environmental degradation? Now we will go to Neelam. Neelam, what is your take on this? Do you think that there is an interrelationship between both the things? And then we will come to a more structured, part of the discussion today. Neelam.
So you are asking the correlation between pandemic and environmental degradation?
Yes. Is there a correlation, as Dr. Mritunjay said, that environmental degradation has led to the outbreak of a pandemic?
Yeah, totally agree. See, it's the nature's way to balance out, as many people say, right? The natural disasters, the pandemics, these are when you overburden the earth, right? With all these waste, all of it. In fact, when you throw plastics in the ocean without taking responsibility, without recycling, it all comes back when floods come and other things. So, and pandemics, of course, you are playing with nature. You are not respecting it. You are not respecting yourself when you talk about, because we are also part of nature, we are also part of environment, and we should take it like that when we are not conserving our resources properly, because earth has a way of balancing things. Earth has a way of protecting everyone whoever is on the planet, but if you are not ensuring that everything is in order, then of course these things will happen and the balance will deteriorate. So I completely agree with Dr. Yogendra. It is the impact of our actions only.
Right. Great, Neelam. So going back to Dr. Yogendra, Dr. Yogendra, we have spoken about how the pandemic is creating great havoc. So in these circumstances, do you see greater sustainability measures being taken? But fundamentally, how do you explain sustainability to the people around yourself, and what does it mean to you?
See, sustainability, as I mentioned, it is basically, we say it is a triple bottom line performance, and industry is doing it. Then time has come now that we must change our sustainability strategy to the company strategy. And keeping the pandemic in mind, this is much more important that we should be ready for it, as I mentioned earlier. Most of the corporates are not ready for it because we were not ready for work from home. But now time has come, we must develop our policy. Each and every corporate have a policy on occupational health. Now time has come, we must develop a policy on pandemic also, or work from home also.
Right.
I think we should, keeping this in mind, HR has a major role to play even in sustainability otherwise also, and today keeping pandemic in mind also.
Of course, human resources is a fundamental part of our society, and it needs to be taken care of. Now coming to Dr. Mritunjay. So, Dr. Mritunjay, if you were to look at recent history, there have been instances where, there has been a kind of a conflict, between the development agenda vis-a-vis in the environmental agenda. So do you basically see some kind of a conflict in the model of development that we are following and environmental conservation on the other hand? Dr. Mritunjay.
So actually, if you ask from me, then I am in this field from last 24 years. And really, I don't see there is any conflict between the development and environment. Only when our attitude and approach became different, then yes, conflict comes. Because what I feel that when we love development, then at same time we should respect environment also. And when your attitude and approach is love and respect for the development and the environment, then I don't see any conflict. One, two example I can give you. One is environment impact assessment. We have done number of environment impact assessment, and I happens to be part of that. And when we do it for any development project, then we don't find any difficulty to find the way between the respect for the environment also and the love for the development also. Similarly, sustainability. If you embed the sustainability in the development project or business or industry, then we found in last 1 decade that how sustainability play a major role to balance between the development and the environment. So I don't see any conflict if our approach is love and respect. But yes, if our approach is a hate, like if I love development and hate environment, then yes, their conflict will come. Or if I love more environment and hate development, then also conflict will come.
Very good point. Very good point. Love and respect for the environment. Now I know that sustainability and its definition is one of the favorite subjects that Dr. Yogendra really this is one thing which is very close to his heart, and he holds some really strong views about it. So, Dr. Yogendra, on the entire issue of sustainability and how it fits into the corporate agenda.
See, as Mritunjay mentioned, early 90s, if you see, people used to say that either you can think of environment or you can think of development. Today, environment and development both go hand in hand. Sustainability is one example he mentioned, and responsible investment. Today, it's not possible for industry to take any loan either from international organization or even from our own banks also. This is the main agenda today for the corporate to develop. They are thinking, moving also. But somewhere where we are basically lagging is our institutional framework is not so strong. We have ministry, we have pollution boards, but somewhere, if you see our regulatory regime, we have to strengthen that also to achieve this the topic of sustainability also. We are printing sustainability report, but time has come that either the corporate is not complying, or if they are complying, they must go beyond compliance, which is missing in the industry today. This is my
Right. So I think you are still going with, you are kind of sitting on the edge, on the fence on this question. But
I have seen all the sides basically.
which is a very good approach to have, a balanced view towards development, a balanced view towards sustainability, as well as environment on the other hand. That is a very good approach to have, and one that needs to be respected, and one that needs to be really inculcated and interwoven into the frameworks that we have created for societal development. Now, I think we are quite good on time for, last words from Ushi. How do you see this entire, particularly the agenda around and the discussions and the discourse around sustainability, environment, all of that? How do you see that? Is it making an impact, or what is the report from the ground? What is the ground zero report?
So, Mukul, what I see from where I stand is that there are businesses and there are government people who are coming ahead, and they are trying to create a certain amount of funds, which is called short-term projects. Like they're trying to build resilience, and this itself is a challenge. In building a resilience for climate disturbances we're having, it itself is a very, very big challenge. So this is possible only with the innovative finance mechanism, wherein we call it green bond and climate funds. So, you will be stunned to know that 15 states have climate adaptation and resilience plan. And there are plans of installing green roof for, water retention, and then identifying the backup supply and distribution chains. There are, disaster recovery plans. But the only thing is that what we lack in that there is no connectivity like what I'm speaking right now, it might be very new to many people hearing right now, because they do not know what I'm talking, because there is no coordination between local masses and what the corporates are trying to do, what the government people are trying to do, how they are trying to save earth, what the students are trying to do. So we need to have a change to have a sustainable environment. I think there needs to be a change that needs to be created, like a food web that we have today, like a beautiful ecosystem that we have today. A chain needs to be created so that we all come on one page, and we are able to solve one very simple problem of let's have a green earth and beautiful earth.
Very good words. Very good words. I think we are dot on time, and now let me just take this opportunity to really summarize the wonderful and a very insightful discussion that we have had till now. Among the prominent points which have emerged are a community oriented approach. That if she spoke about population HR practices that both Yogendra and Neelam spoke about, environmental impact assessment, institutional frameworks to really put sustainability and sustainable development into perspective, and of course lack of communication, better communication strategies, better communication between institutions and the public at large, to ensure that they are all on the same page, they are all doing well, and they all have assumptions and a substantial understanding of what is happening on the ground, how they can contribute. And last but not the least, 2 points which I really liked, which came from Mritunjay: love and respect for the environment. I think that really sums up the entire discussion, which has been a wonderfully insightful discussion. I thank all the panelists, the attendees, for coming together for this discussion today. And I particularly would like to thank URL and NHSM, our esteemed partners, without whose support this would not have been possible. So thanks a lot, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we have a great representation, really half and half. This shows, I don't know about biodiversity, but certainly tells a lot about diversity on our panel at least. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming on this show today. And we really hope that we had quite a few takeaways and very interesting points from the discussion. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening ahead and a great weekend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today. Now, on that note, after that wonderful discussion, I think it gave us an insight into a very hard-hitting reality of the time. And this hard-hitting reality